Hi guys, it's Laura. Is it 4? It's 4. Hey. It gets easier every time. Yesterday I was a little like, I forgot how all this works because I haven't done it in a while. Welcome, thank you. And before we start talking about asymmetry today, I just want to make sure that I share this to my Facebook page, Fashion Illustration Tribe, because I promised them I would. So it's going to take me a second. Please say hello. Hi, Doreen. Yay. Great. Oh, it's working. Everything's working. You know, the more peaceful and calm you are, things work. When you get all like, they don't work, right? Okay, I'm just going to share that out. Hi, hon. How's it going? Hi, Patty. Oh, I'm so glad Patty and Doreen are here together because you guys have such a nice friendship vibe between the two of you. Okay, I'm going to share this out. I can retitle it later, so I'm just going to post it. And there we go. So, amen. How are you? In case there's anyone here who doesn't know me, I'll just start off by saying I'm Laura Volpin-Testa. I'm the founder of Fashion Illustration Tribe, and I'm a fashion designer and illustrator. Some of you know me on here from high school or from music, and some of you know me as an artist. So today we're going to like jam and get inspired again about fashion and see what comes up. I love, hi Karen. Karen's a designer. Ugh. Every time I do these things, I just get so excited to realize my community, you know. It makes me so excited. So, Karen, you got to meet Patty. I wouldn't say hi. How are you doing today? Maybe before we started, we'll just take a moment to get a little bit grounded and centered together, because when we do this, it kind of brings us all together. So we could take a moment. Hi, Denise. I miss Denise. We're just going to take a deep breath all together to kind of bring us all into the room. So just take a deep breath in. Hold it at the top a little bit. Take in all that oxygen and then let it go. All right. My book is at the Bethel Library. Karen, that's good to know. Is that where you got it? So this is the book we're using as a focus for these talks, because you know what? For years, I've been doing like demonstrations where we do like drawing and painting and all that stuff. And the thing is, it's so tricky going back and forth between talking to you and then filming the desk, and then for me and then the desk, and then me and then the desk. So today, hi Telmia. Today I wanted to, through this series, I thought it was a nice opportunity to talk just face to face, just talk about theory, talk about what we think, why we do, what we want to do, who we are, and all of that. Because actually, the skills and things I teach, that's it's great. You can go to my YouTube channel, you can go to the website, but like, I want to have more time to talk about who we are and what we're doing and why we do it and how we're feeling and what's going on, because that's really exciting to me too, and I know it is to you too. So I was going to just randomly open the book today. Let's just see what happens if I do. I opened to Negative Shape. Ooh, that is a good chapter. But I'm going to come back to that. If you don't know what Negative Shape is and you think I should do the next one based on Negative Shape, let me know. Because I will be doing another live stream tomorrow, probably around the same time, 4 o'clock. Because I can't do the evening tomorrow. So anyway, I'll keep you in the loop. If you're subscribed at fashionillustrationtribe.com, you'll get an email tonight or tomorrow with the schedule. And the replays will be up till May 8th. So today I decided to talk about asymmetry. How do you guys feel about that topic? Oh, give me one sec. I want to make sure this worked. Sorry. Asymmetry. Any opening thoughts on asymmetry? What comes to mind when you think of fashion and you think of asymmetry? Let's see if you guys come up with anything before I get started. We'll look at some images from the book and we'll just use that to spark conversation. See, asymmetry when it comes to fashion is huge to me. Oh, it's interesting you said earrings. I'm not wearing any, and that now and then I'll wear just one earring. or wear different ones. In fact, there's a video up somewhere where I'm wearing 2 different earrings, which is totally fine. It's so cool, but I remember I did it by mistake and I realized it after I did the video. Not equal on both sides. Right, so I'm not sure where it got started that fashion was so symmetrical. Right? Okay, let me just see if this video showed up on the page. I'm sorry, guys. Give me a second. Doreen says, I love not having balance or duplication of design. Patty says, not equal on both sides. And what about like the thing where suddenly people don't have to match their socks anymore? It's like, hallelujah. Right? Thinking how we grew up and then finally watching all these barriers come down. It sounds so silly, but it's so not. Right? I don't know. How do you feel? For me, it's like every time a barrier or a rule comes down, I get so excited. Oh, Gino. Gino should be here so we can make beautiful music together. He's like my favorite singer. He knows every beautiful song in the world. Let's hear it for Gino, who's playing Friday night in Danbury. Just saying. Gino da Silva. That's your granddaughter, right? So this experience, I'm about to give up. This experience of barriers coming down is huge because whenever it happens, you start to realize, oh, that barrier could have come down 20 years ago for me and myself. So like we see barriers out in the world and we take them on, and then they keep living on inside us. Like, how many can we bring down to live our fullest expression now? Because to me, a barrier is when you want to express something, and as it's moving through you, hits a wall and stops. The energy's there, the desire is there, the love is there, the action is there, hits a wall, drops, right? So asymmetry is a great example. Asymmetry. Symmetry is when things are equal on both sides, and symmetry does happen in nature a lot. Yeah? I'm looking out the window right now. I see trees. They're symmetrical and they're asymmetrical, right? Like in the macro, that trunk goes up straight and the branches go out on both sides. So it's sort of symmetrical. But then if you got fine-tuning and you looked at all the details, asymmetrical, right? So you look at a fish. It's symmetrical. Both sides are the same. Humans are pretty symmetrical. And that's where it gets into fashion, right? Because we're designing for symmetrical humans. And it was so interesting. This summer I saw 2 videos. Asymmetry for me in fashion turned out to be a personal experience that I had where I realized how powerful it was without anyone talking to me about it. But after I made that discovery, I started to notice people talking about it. You know how it works, right? It's like the way it is in the world. So when I still do. I go to the Brazilian shops in town. Where I live, there's a lot of Brazilian boutiques, and they use a lot of asymmetry in their clothing. You may have noticed in our culture or whatever, not so much, right? Do you find it symmetrical clothes? Most things like the t-shirt, the jacket, everything's symmetrical. And the thing is, well, hang on a second. I'm wearing all symmetrical clothes today, by the way. But my hair is asymmetrical. When I teach pattern making and draping, one thing we talk, it's day 1. We take the mannequin and we say, oh, okay, here's the dress form. And we're going to start learning how to design fitted garments. And just so you know, the standard or process is that we design on the models. We work on the model's right-hand side. We do our draping here. We do our marking. We make our decisions. And everything that we've designed here, we simply trace over to the other side. Now that's nice and that's cute and everything. But I always have to undo that conversation with my students right from the get-go and say, well, I'm teaching you these techniques, but don't let them become too important for you, because you just starting day 1 like that almost makes you forget about asymmetry. and start working, you know, always one side like the other side. You don't have to approach this way. So the standards and techniques that we teach, sorry, this is all messy, but, you know, they have their place, but there are no rules, and they can become extremely confining if we forget that and take them to be some kind of a rule. So yes, you can design a garment on the half, trace it over to the other side to get a whole garment, but you can drape a whole garment on the mannequin too, and it can be asymmetrical. So let's talk about why would we want to do something asymmetrical. And here's my personal experience at the Brazilian boutiques. I don't know why they use so much more asymmetry in their design. Maybe because there's more handmade clothing, so there's more time put into them, because symmetrical clothing's quickest. It's fast, bang it out, right? You fold it in half, cut it out, make it easy. Asymmetry is going to take more time in the pattern making, more thought, because each side has its own design, right? I don't know if that's one reason. Another thing I find that's in their aesthetic, that's also in their clothes, is this sense of organicness. Whereas we are in a fast fashion society, things are very, very mass, very factory, very cranked out, right? Most of the clothes we have are just, and there's a coldness to symmetry. Or let's say symmetry has so much perfection to it. As I'm speaking to you, I'm being symmetrical with my hands and things, right? There's a sense of control and predictability in symmetry. But once we take that away, it's almost like chaos ensues, and that's wonderful, right? The lack of control is liberating already. Now, there's a few reasons and a few principles. In fact, let me just open to the chapter, because I definitely want to link it back to the chapter. One thought is, like, I think it was Patty who used the word balance. Here's your balance. When balance is tipped, you get motion, you get flow, you get energy. Patty, I think asymmetry is more interesting and fun to wear as well to look at. Right? So here's this, beautiful. When this happens, there's a flow. Things start to move. Things are put into motion. So asymmetry is a way to create motion in a place that was still. Let me read this one. Karen, any asymmetrical female warriors, Doreen? Dark, light, strong, gentle. We got into some warrior talk yesterday too. I'm loving having these conversations come up here. So I'd love to hear what Doreen says. Right, so when things are thrown off balance, there's motion, tidal wave, energetic. And another great design principle that I'm always aware of, it's just funny, these little things that hit you when you're in school. I remember one teacher or somebody just saying that, you know this from experience, right? Straight lines are stable. Parallel lines are stable, right? Diagonal lines move. They move. They carry energy to them. And that's an amazing realization. So asymmetry usually creates a state of diagonal, because your eye's moving from some detail on one side to something different on the other side. Your eye doesn't really take it in all at once. It goes from here to there. And I posted a little video about the designer Byron Lars on the Fashion Illustration Tribe Facebook page about 2 weeks ago. I was so happy to find it. He was showing one of his designs. He was the first designer I ever interned with when I was in school, just for a few weeks during like a crunch time. But I love his designs. Very creative. Maybe not so well known. He's featured in my book. His line now is called, it's not Shirt Tails. That was the old one. What's it called now? Oh, I'll come back to it. Anyway, Byron Lars. So he was saying, he was showing a dress and it had different patterns and details around it. He's saying how because of all this information, the eye is moving from here to here to here. And that's what I was saying. So that's what I was saying about the movement of the eye. I was like, oh, he's saying what I always wanted to say. Because when your eye is moving like that, it's different than the eye resting on you and expecting you to be perfect, right? So when I was younger, I didn't care much because I was so symmetrical. But as I get older, I get more character in all parts of me, yes? And I start to feel like a symmetrical garment is at odds with me. And I guess the reason I'm bringing this up, this is less about even design terms as much as about how we see ourselves and how we see women and things. That asymmetry creates beauty because you're not, it brings such a beautiful beauty because you're not at odds with this harshly perfect garment where you then have to be very perfect too. It sets up a tone of, you look at the thing and bam. So in asymmetry, the eye is moving and it's moving around your body, and your body is not expected to fit into a pattern of strict, I don't know if perfection's the word, but do you know what I mean? So I just love asymmetry. Oh, this is funny. This is something I showed yesterday. This isn't the chapter on asymmetry, but here's two dresses next to each other. But this is probably in Veerhens again. I showed this yesterday, but I just opened to it. Notice this dress versus this dress. You know, which one is more forgiving to wear? I know that I would be more likely to, yeah, there's this unexpected, hi Dawn, unexpected surprises. I would definitely wear this over this 90% of the time at this point in my life. Maybe it was different at another time, I don't know. But it's really interesting to notice. I want you to notice now when you go out and when you look around, you see what people are wearing, how prevalent symmetry is. And how I just go crazy when I wear that like a one-shoulder dress. Oh, I feel so good. Every time I see something like that, I buy it. It's like, that's not true. But you know what I mean? I want to. Because once I have that diagonal, or if I wear a string of beads diagonally across, if I wear a purse diagonally across, I know that I'm creating movement, and even the movement of the eye across my body is going to go like this and not be... And there's a carnival designer, a really young woman, fascinating. Her name is Divinas Carnabesas. She's in Rio de Janeiro, and I watched a bunch of her videos this summer, which was last month. In Brazil, she was talking about her designs and giving little workshops. And she was talking about asymmetry too, and how symmetrical things are so demanding on beauty. You know, they compete with the woman for the woman to be more symmetrical. And that when you use asymmetry, the woman becomes the symmetry. That's what I loved about it. You see what I mean? When you're wearing asymmetrical things, you become the stabilizing focus. And when you wear symmetrical clothes, you could kind of be the problem. Do you know what I mean? It's very, very interesting to conceive of. And once you have this awareness, you can go out into the world. And for me, when I'm teaching in the city, I'm always like, so now when you go on the subway, and when you're walking down the street, you start to look and say, And that's why it's so powerful sometimes just to have a scarf, you know? Something that just goes like this. Minister Jazz, Sparks in the house. Long time no see. Hi. So let me look up the chapter on asymmetry because I lost it. Oh, here it is, chapter 14, page 116. So let's see what's on. Oh, that's so funny. I'm not there yet, but the page I opened to was the chapter called, I can't read it. Oh, called Direction. And everything on this page is symmetrical. Okay, symmetry. Symmetry. Sorry, my lighting is... Look how symmetrical this is. Symmetry. And then look, one look here that has asymmetry in it. And that sense of movement that you get right away, that sense of immediate movement that you can see just looking at those pictures. Doreen, symmetry feels confining. Uniforms, not fun, not fashionable. Oh, I saw an interesting documentary on YouTube, or was it on Facebook recently, about Hugo Boss during Hugo Boss and the Holocaust, and how fashion was used in that period of history. Okay, it's very interesting. If you Google it, you could probably find it. I got lighting issues. Sorry, guys. So, asymmetry is defined as a lack of balance or symmetry. Wow, but it's not a lack of anything. It's an addition of energy, yeah? It says right here, fabric, whether knitted or woven, is a symmetrical raw material. This is true, right? You have your length grains, your cross grains. It's a very stable material. While we're at it, oh my gosh, unexpected inspiration. Have you know that woven fabric, this may be logical or not, woven fabric does not stretch. It does not stretch in the cross. It does not stretch in the length. It's very, very stable, yes? However, when you turn it on its diagonal, which, okay, it's still symmetrical, but when it's diagonal, it stretches because it becomes a lattice. And this is something that can play out so much in designing with asymmetry, but I'm not going to go there yet. Just food for thought. Okay, so a minimally cut square woven or knitted piece of fabric joined at the shoulders creates a clean, symmetric. So like a caftan is symmetrical. Now here's an amazing thing. You know I'm obsessed with caftans and kimonos, and those of you who are in design infusion course, you've seen the whole talk about caftans and kimonos. Here's an incredible thing about that topic. Oh, for example, this is one of my favorite books, African Canvas. These dresses, I saw when I lived in Paris in the 90s, I saw so much of this kind of fashion. So not the African print fashion you see now, actual caftans with head wraps. And the thing is, this woman right now, she's wearing it balanced on her shoulders. But even though caftans are symmetrical, 90% of the time, the women I saw in Paris wearing those dresses, it was falling off one shoulder anyway, on purpose. So this garment is symmetrical, but it's not intended to be worn symmetrically. Like the head wraps are always asymmetrical, and the dresses falling off one side become asymmetrical even though they're cut symmetrically. And then that's like, oh, that opens up a whole other world, right? And on top of that, oftentimes they would tie an extra few yards around their waist over the caftan, which was also an asymmetrical creation. Or if you think of a kimono is symmetrical, but you can't wear it symmetrically. You've got to overlap one side over the other. And then symmetry is, there's some symmetry, but there's an introduction of asymmetry when you do a wrap. So that's like really cool too. All right, so the chapter on asymmetry, here's some of the, so many things come to mind. Please share anything that comes to mind at the same time because, wait, let me check something really quick. Because I love the sparks of inspiration that come from the conversation. Okay, all right, so here's one dress which is a symmetrical dress, with a very subtle asymmetry in the color blocking of it. And that one is by, I can't even remember anymore, Prabal Gurung. Oh my gosh. That's so funny because I was wearing Prabal Gurung during yesterday's video. Prabal Gurung for Target. Okay, then we have Katya Leonovich. And what I love about this is just incidentally, I was so happy to find her designs because she's a painter. So she creates paintings and then she had them digitally painted. And this was digitally printed onto fabric. This was in 2013 where that wasn't as common. And I love the liveliness of it. So not only is the garment asymmetrical, which like I was already, sorry, I'm trying to avoid the light enough that you can see the details, but also because the patterns and prints are so large, they create asymmetry too, right? Aren't these very organic? Even though they're high tech, they're very, I feel like she's wearing a crumpled up leaf or something. All right. Love the colors. Yeah. Oh gosh. I had such a hard time controlling myself, deciding which of her pieces to choose for the book because there were so many interesting things she did. I love those too. I love that she took her original prints. And these dresses are very complex. Yeah, they're totally asymmetrical. And when I see asymmetrical pieces like that, I always know that it took more work. Farah, former Parsons student, so happy to see you here. And Katya Leonovich is New York-based Russian designer. Okay, well, then we have Narciso Rodriguez dress, another asymmetry. As you can just see how forgiving, how utterly forgiving asymmetry is. And you can also see how she is the symmetry, her shoes, her feet, her arms, everything. And then how that dress just spirals around her body. Here's another one, all dressed up by Lionel, Leo, and Tino 10. I loved this brand. They had a lot of beautiful pieces. Again, I had a hard time choosing which pieces to include from this brand as well. And I think that was, I'm trying to remember the country right now, and I can't, Malaysia. Oh yeah, okay, these are both Malaysian, and this is another asymmetrical effect. And then with a very symmetrical hairdo, which is interesting. More asymmetry is a Korean designer. And she's using color blocking to create the asymmetry in the top. Also playing with texture, so you have like sheer and you have opaque. And then that very, very harshly, actually it looks like a symmetrical skirt, but it's not because it has an insert off to one side. The asymmetry creates such interest even in a solid colored dress. I'm glad you pointed that out because a lot of them were using color blocking to create asymmetry, cutting different panels into different colors. But it's so true that even in monochromatic look, as well as the blue one that we just saw before, the shadows and the textures create the asymmetry. And that was something I wanted to mention. I was taking notes before I came, and then I didn't bring them upstairs. I'll tell you in one sec what I wanted to say. I'm going to read what Karen said. She's a fine artist. In illustration or fine art, the off-center focal point is something that makes an interesting composition. Thus, asymmetry. Yes. By the way, Karen, are you teaching anything soon? Locally? Announce it here. Patty. That's another form of fashion that I love, and that's creating my own fabric. Either, you said exactly what I wanted to get to now. Either by embellishments or painting, like you, Doreen Breen. It's so on purpose. Like Patty and Doreen were in the same coaching calls for weeks, so we have a beautiful connection here, and I love knowing that I got to be a part of that. Yeah, so I was going to say, what are other ways we can create asymmetry? So it could be the cut, right? Or the silhouette, the outline of the garment. Or it could be embellishment. Like maybe you only have beading here. Or maybe it comes this way and then it comes down that way rather than symmetry. I have a chapter on symmetry in here too. Those looks that we looked at earlier in today's video were very symmetrical. Yeah, the ones I showed before we got to this chapter. There's a busyness to some asymmetry as well. This is a busy one. Textural asymmetry. Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, I thought I was plugged in and I wasn't. I hope everything's cool here. Textural asymmetry, painting. So any way that we apply effects, handwork, beading, any of that can be, sorry, I'm checking here. I get it, okay. Karen, I'm teaching at Brickfield Craft Center, large seamless print block carving for printing your own fabric, 3 Sundays in June, starting the 16th. Hello, how relevant is that? Local fabric block printing workshop class. And if I can't take it, I'm gonna pull my hair out. So at the Brookfield Craft Center, yeah. I had an interview there the other day, a phone interview, and we missed each other. I called it, I'll figure that out while we're on the subject. Thanks for reminding me. Okay, actually that was all of the pictures for that chapter. So one of the challenges in that book was to have, I am on the mailing list for Brookfield, not mailing list, Instagram for Brookfield Craft Center. And I'm like, I drool over their posts because it's always like tools and workshops. Whoever's doing their social media is so good because it's totally that vibe of making things, you know? Here's another symmetrical, just for contrast. Here's a symmetrical look that's in the book. Karen, you just got a gig in Arizona. Hey, I want to go to Arizona. Here's another nice example of asymmetry. Up here, these two looks. Yeah. So, gosh, to me, I just feel like it's like zoom, 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 right? It's a strong movement, a strong motion with symmetry, asymmetry. Oh, here's another asymmetrical look on swimwear, right? That diagonal neckline. And then the rest of the garment is symmetrical, so you get the contrast. See, Doreen will travel. Doreen travels. I have a new education director, and he is amazing. That's the one that I had the appointment with, but something went wrong. But oh, here's Katya Leonovich again, and look at the asymmetry again. She's just really, really brilliant, clever, and this is what I want to focus on in my programs. One of the reasons I wanted to make sure I did these on Facebook was because I know on Facebook, if you want to connect with each other, it's easy. Whereas on an Instagram Live, there's no way to connect with the people you're chatting with back and forth. Although I still might do one of these on Instagram Live, and I still might do one of these on YouTube Live because I'm feeling out the platforms as kind of research for myself. So we may be playing musical chairs from now till May 8th. I know, Karen, that's why I didn't travel for so long too with the small kids. It's like a whole part of your life where you're just like, I can't. So here's the thing. Doreen. I find asymmetry is more forgiving and fitting, and especially in repurposing fabric from clothing. Yeah. Oh, I wish I had the dress. It's upstairs. Okay, so Fernanda Yamamoto is a former student of mine who's a big Brazilian designer now. And actually, she's expecting her first child like any day now. But she, Fernanda Yamamoto, she... her last collection, I think some of you will be very interested because it was all only vegetable dyed. and it was inspired by the Yuba culture in Brazil, which is like a Japanese, there's tremendous, the biggest Japanese population outside of Japan is in Brazil. And one of the Yuba culture in Brazil, from what I gathered doing the research of her collection, inspired by Yuba, is like an entirely natural culture, Japanese-based culture in Brazil, where they live like totally with nature. Trying to compare it to something here, I can't think of it right now, but like, so she inspired her collection. So this collection was all vegetable dyed monochromatic looks, and she uses tons of asymmetry and very Japanese aesthetic. So you might want to look her up on Instagram, Fernanda Yamamoto -loja, which means store, L-O-G-A, or you could just look her up on the internet. But what was my point? I said there's a dress upstairs. Oh, so I took one of her online courses. She did an online course through Rio Fashion Institute. I took some great courses there. One of them was all about upcycling. It was so incredible, and it was all in Portuguese, so I can't really share it with you. Or maybe that's why I should share it with you. Brilliant. And the woman who taught that just exploded my world. You know what? I'm going to rewatch it and share more with you. So back to repurposing. One of the things that Fernanda did in one of the classes was she took used clothing and literally draped on the mannequin using pieces of used clothing. So let's say you had a waistband from jeans. You might like cut the jeans apart, then maybe lay the waistband here, and then take maybe the leg portion and, you know, drape it somewhere else. So literally draping pieces of garments, which is what you do, Doreen, actually, and using that to inspire new designs or to create upcycle designs. So I have a whole dress upstairs that I draped out of fab scrap pieces. I just haven't completed it. It's really cool because it's so improvisational. It's so surprising. There's so much surprise in that process. Because anyone who's here with me, like, yes, you can go into industry. Yes, you can work for a big corporation. But I think our goal here is more that we want to create from our hearts. We want to change that fashion industry. The matriarchy moves in. You know, I mean, the fashion industry is predominantly female anyway, but not in the most powerful places. So in our own homes, in our own worlds, in our communities, and in our niches, really niching it down to recreate what fashion looks like. Because that industry is something else, let me tell you. Patty, page 126-27 is an amazing garment, and the print makes it very asymmetrical. This is something that I love about African prints, is that a lot of the motifs are so humongous that a symmetrical garment becomes asymmetrical simply by the motif, because the motif becomes more of an embellishment than a print because it's not all over. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay, 127, 120. Oh, this one? I was so bummed when I had picked this picture. I mean, well, I was bummed because they put it on a crease. And I was bummed because, I love Zandra Rhodes so much. Any of you who have sat through my workshops know I always go back to Zandra Rhodes. I think I also have a YouTube video about Zandra Rhodes. I'm so obsessed with her. Patty is Patty's gonna be an online you just wait. You watch her. Doreen, patching African mud cloth is an awesome process, and that's very loosely woven, isn't it? So you have to be really like either on the straight grain or on the bias exactly. So nice, like her work. Right, so Karen, I don't know if you know this about her, but Zandra Rhodes, so this is her more, I couldn't get any of her iconic historical work affordably to put in the book. So this is from like her current line, which she doesn't really like. Maybe she oversees it, but it's not like it was when she like started out. Where's the book? Where's the book? It's never far from reach. Maybe it's because we have the same birthday. She was not trained as a fashion designer. Her mother was a fashion design professor, but she trained as a textile designer. And so her work is all textile print design specifically driven. And so she was often designing the print for the garment. Oh, you did? Okay. You were there. And that the garments are very ethnic, you know, caftan and folk based. Oh, you did? I'm so glad. This is what fashion used to be, man. Girlfriend, this is what fashion used to be. A designer would have a concept for a season. They would have a point of view. It was an art. And sometimes we have to remember to dial it back a little and feel that again to, you know, you just get so used to the atmosphere you live in that you forget that there was another way. We're bringing it back because we are the warriors. Yes. To be able, you know, did you see the movie? I don't usually watch fashion movies anymore. I'm just so like, my whole body like tenses up around fashion. So there's this one movie, the one where, what's his name, takes over the House of Dior. Yeah, I don't even know his name. And he quit not far after because they were having him produce like so many collections so fast every year. It was just like bam, 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 bam. You see that even the Paris Couture is a sweatshop for the head designer? Oh, no, but it wasn't McQueen. Maybe it was before McQueen. And McQueen's a whole other story. I mean, he took his own life. I saw Alexander McQueen exhibit at the Met. Did anyone go to that? I was so scared. I was like a little kid in a horror movie. Like, Alexander McQueen scares me so bad. And talk about symmetry. Did you not? Well, he burned out too. See? No, it was, I know it wasn't him because I know that I don't feel like I know McQueen very well. And, you know, if I had seen the movie and it was him, I would have felt like I knew more about him. But McQueen's symmetry and those corsets and things, his aesthetic is so, it's painful for me. Like, just before he died, I always had this thing with McQueen, like, it's exquisite, it's beautiful, it's surreal, and it scares the living shit out of me. That's McQueen for me. And I don't even know why, but it is related to symmetry, actually, among other things. Symmetry is evil! No, I just... So, you know, and this is the funny thing, teaching at the university is just, why are you here? Not as a judgment, but like literally no one asks you, especially some student coming out of high school. No one's ever asked them why they do anything, right? It's like, do this, do this, do this. And they show up and it's like, no one says, why are you here? Mostly it's about, you know, here's your homework, do it, do it, do it. Yeah, you're learning a lot, but on some level, it's like, truly, why are you here? Because most people who come to study fashion come with so much love, so much inspiration. It's so clean, it's so pure, it's so true, it's so fascinating. And then the next thing they know, they're like 2 years into this industry that is so at odds with the initial impetus for getting there. You know, it's taken me a lifetime to get back to this like inner child work and being like, oh, oh my God, no wonder things turn out the way they do. Like, how do I get back to the truth of what I wanted? Oi, André. To the bone. Right? So, and this is something, I mean, those are the questions we can't answer ourselves sometimes. You know, so I'll be like, so why do you don't even have an answer, because we don't even ask ourselves sometimes what we want. So I only like recently got really into journaling and literally asking myself questions like, what do you want? More importantly, how do you want to feel? Because one of the great lessons I got this past few years was anything we want, we only want because of how we think it's going to make us feel. So it's really good to get clear on what your core feeling desires are. On my first day of sewing classes, I asked my students why they're taking SCUM. Thank you. All right? Not here's why you're here, but like, why? And then you get to put your feelers out and know who you're dealing with, like, so that you can talk to them and deliver to them. I know you're an awesome teacher. I could tell every time I sit with you that you're an awesome teacher, Patty, and that you're totally like on your path. You're doing this, you're on purpose when you're teaching. And I love that. So why, this is a good homework. So homework, 2 things. One is journaling. How do you want to feel? How does fashion make you feel positively? And what are the things that come up when you touch fashion that make you feel bad? And maybe tack those down on paper too, just so you can be aware of them and we could give them attention, because those feelings are asking for attention. So writing them down pegs them. Thank you. Thank you too, Patty, for just being you, right? We got to be us. We're all here on purpose. And sometimes we doubt that because we look out in the world. So the journaling prompt can take you back inside yourself and realize, you know, what is it that I desire? And honoring that is your truth and that's not to be messed with or even questioned. No, I mean, as in question it as in to ask it what it is, but don't doubt it. Don't doubt it. Let's see. I think the industry was male-dominated, telling women what to wear, and the pendulum swung to fast fashion. Fast fashion is such a horrendous concept. I think we have the opportunity to work between these two places and create fashion that makes women feel strong, powerful, and beautiful. Because here's my other big discovery of this year. You know, I always go off the topics because we could sketch all day. I have that in the course. And by the way, I do want to announce that up until May 8th, there's a 6-month payment plan that gives you 16 one-to-one, 45-minute coaching calls, which is crazy. If you sign up before May 8th, tell your friends. You get the Freedom Fashion Program plus the weekly 45-minute calls. It's $555 a month for 6 months. And you also get bonus classes in addition to the 16-week semester. Yes, Doreen. So it's not even like a chance thing, like, oh, there's this niche market of women who are interested in ethical fashion. We, as women, our nature is life and love. It's life-giving. And not even that, like, we give it and we lose something when we give it. We get life by giving. It's not even, right? I think that male model is you give something and you lose something, and then you have to get something back to restore it. And give and take, buy and sell. No. Women, I love, it's our nature, and we know, and when we give, we don't even have to receive it. We do receive in return. In like, when we don't doubt it and we don't block it and we don't smush it and we don't question it, it's like this. Yeah, it's not that messy. It flows. So we've gotten to the point where we're ashamed when we give. When I give too much, I love too much, I never get anything in return. And that's a real, that's like the disempowered feminine. energy and disempowered cycle because we're not in our flow. In the giving, we are receiving the residual energy of healing. You have the language, Doreen. I got to absorb that for a second. Yeah. So every woman wants to feed every child. Every woman wants, we give it freely. Every woman wants to in their right mind, given the facts, they know they don't want to wear sweatshop clothes. They know they don't, they want to be part of the positive change. It's a natural, it's a no-brainer once we're like lined up and in our truth and knowledge. So this stream is just gathering momentum. Again, the matriarchy! So, and asymmetry embraces us. I think that's how I'm going to wrap it up. I love you guys. I don't think I can do 7 p.m. tomorrow. And I did an earlier time today because I have to work tonight. And also because there's some people in Europe who were hoping they could come if we did it early. I love you too. I'm going to send an email and also put it on the socials when the schedule is for tomorrow. It may be early tomorrow, but later on Friday, I don't know. I'll let you know, but we're going to do some every day until May 8th, and I hope you can come to others. Replays will be up till the 8th, and I love you guys, and I love you individually, but when you all come together, it's like a beautiful constellation. Me too. I'm so honored that you all took your time to be here, and I hope you all got something you can take away, and if you did, feel free to mention it or share it with someone. Love you so much. I'm gonna go eat before I go to work. Bye.